Here we go, Red!
Oh, good. Oh, that's good. You right?
We've got some of the numbers wrong on the sheet.
Oh, we haven't got any sheets. But we know enough about you guys.
Oh yeah, we do have sheets. We do have sheets, but we're not looking at you anyway.
We've changed all the sheets so the sound is better. Who's done next? Mike Palmer.
Benji.
Here we go. Here we go. Down there.
Oh, is this accurate then?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, somebody wearing 36 and there isn't a 36. The guy who told me that the rosters were wrong. Who is that? Is that Daddy who did that? Sorry? Just gonna find results. You're on off anyway. Oh, they can't find a disc. This is awkward. Sorry?
Bio-glue!
I'm doing colour. You're doing.
Welcome back to coverage of Windmill 2019 here in the glorious sunny surrounds of Amsterdam, bringing you action from the Open Division. Two sides, fierce rivalries with their sights set on EUC in the future, but in the meantime the old rivals GB and Ireland will do battle here at Windmill 2019. Benji Rees alongside Sarah Sparks in the commentary. GB starting on offense, wearing their red jerseys, the Irish going with their whites for this game. I would have liked to see red on green, but hey ho, what can you do?
Really, really looking forward to this game. There's been a lot of hype about the matchups between GB and Ireland. GB looking strong for contention to go for gold at EUC, but if the Irish have anything to say about that, they're going to do it.
Oh, beautiful pinpoint hut from Briggs. Robbie Haynes with the catch, dishes it to his former Sussex teammate, Ashley Yo. Thought I had to get the Sussex mentions in earlier when I'm done for the game now. And a nice comfortable hold there for GB to start. Beautiful put from Briggs. Caught and then dished for the 1-0 lead. That was pretty comfortable.
Very comfortable. That hook was absolutely spot on, as we'll see here in the replay. Just a quick dish, nice and easy, in front of the end zone. 1-0.
Cool as you like.
The one thing that I do think will work in Ireland's favour is that a few years ago, Ireland played GB Open here at Windmill, and it went to sudden death, and Ireland won.
Yeah, they knocked them out in the quarterfinals. It was at the time a huge upset, and this Irish team looks pretty good this year. I think they're certainly in medal contention for the Open Division at EUC. In the past, their strength has been in their mixed team, but the single gender teams are people's top tips, that kind of the dark horses for EUC.
Yeah, the Irish women are here at Windmill as well. They are also looking strong. Had a very narrow defeat in sudden death against Italy.
Ooh,
tight game, very excited. So it would be very good to see now. GB, Connor McHale with the pull, coming out on defense.
Connor McHale, one of the couple players on this team who represented GB in the mixed division at EBUC a few weeks ago. A lot of these players were representing in the open division, but there's a couple of players who've made their way over from mixed. Another one of those is on the 4 now, Will Roledge. Disc goes up line. On the far side of the field, maybe thinks about looking into a reset. That's a nice break into the centre of the pitch. Mikhail Bids can't quite get there in time. Into the centre now. Dished back, just has it now. Into the end zone, wide open towards the far cone. Beautiful stuff from Ireland. That's a nice offensive hold to start this game. Andrew Cleary catching the goal in the end, and the Irish level things up at 1 apiece.
I'm quite interested to see how there was such blown coverage in the end zone. We look here on the replays. Roledge just fell asleep a little bit.
Yeah, I think trying to pass off a switch to someone on the other side of the stack, but communication just lacking a little bit at that point.
Already saw massive bid from McHale, just missed it, showing off the intensity that they're going to have on D. We're going to see bodies flying from both sides, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what could come out of this game.
The Irish tend to have a habit of playing GB tougher than perhaps they do some other opponents. I mean, I'm sure Lorcan will tell you this as well, our broadcast colleague, that this game means a lot to the always means a lot to the Irish.
Yeah, and that's hardly a surprise. It's your next door neighbours. You play against each other a lot at UKU Nationals, maybe with Radley, Pelt, other teams like that. Of course, it's always going to be a bit.
And Lorcan will tell you as well for how long the English have oppressed the Irish. But obviously, all very matey. All these players know each other pretty well. So hopefully a good, well-spirited game, and actually we haven't seen anything early on that might indicate otherwise. Brad Wilson finds the ever-present Justin Ford underneath, thinks about the big, doesn't like it. Nice says meters a reset, just about sneaks that one through. Backhand force here from the Irish. Briggs comes underneath. He's looked big once already, this time Yo's his intended target. Oh, the defender goes up so early but can only mack it. Wilson with the catch for the goal. I think there's a foul called, maybe from Yo.
It's foul called, but it was collected there by Conrad. So let's just see this again. I can't get over the elevation of Niall McCarthy. Just watch this on the replay. A lot of contact, but still caught.
Another bid comes through as well, but this goal's going to stand. Briggs is he's a player who has a propensity to put it deep a little bit. We've seen that already in this game.
Yeah, Briggs has fantastic field awareness. As a handler, you just need to know that if you have the throw to go to the break side, I have to attack it in the top back right corner. And that's what he went for. But the wind has picked up a little bit since this morning. This morning it was absolutely chucking it down, but there was no wind whatsoever. Now we have beautiful sunshine, but there is a little bit of a upwind, downwind feel, a bit swirly. So it's just a bit of attention to your throws. They are going to sit up, and you are going to get several people under them.
Niall McCarthy is a ferocious defender. It's maybe like one of the best defenders on the continent, and seen that he's not afraid to put his body on the line and maybe get a little bit overly physical on that occasion. So the pull from GB is going to roll on the far sideline, hit one of the advertising boards, so they get a chance to set up pretty quickly. Swung into the centre. Take the swing available. Killian Flynn dishes the disc back. Swung from Sweeney. Just content at the moment just to play it around the back. There's some sort of busting coverage there, just about dishing it through. Sweeney resets his feet off the travel call. Here's Flynn. Delightful little lead pass. Sweeney looks downfield. Tries to isolate a reset. Kelly's just about squeeze it through. Finds Rogers. Now he's going to get the disc back. Ireland offense looking pretty fluid. And they've done a very good job of isolating the resets when they need them. Maybe thought there was a break side shot there. Some of the sideline sounds like they did as well. Oh, a little lead pass into the end zone. Defender tried to poach off but couldn't get there in time, and the Irish tie things up at 2 apiece. Both sides looking good offensively early in this game, Sarah.
Oh, definitely. And also, I just feel like there's a little bit of intensity straight off, a big bump off the mark from Josh Eales, and a big ooh from the sideline when that happened. I do also feel like there's quite a lot of miscommunication going on the GB defense. I feel like they're trying to switch, which is fine, and no problem because that is working really well, but only if you communicate quick enough. And there's been just too many times where somebody has been completely wide open on the open side. That's just one little focus that GB need to have at this point.
So tied up at 2s. As you see, there is a bit more intensity. A lot of the times with the Swiss draw part of the tournament, that intensity necessarily isn't quite there, and it only kind of develops when you get into bracket play. But it looks like early on, both sides are very much up for this game.
Yeah, as I said, they want it, and I do think that Ireland also have a very good shot of hitting it higher up in this tournament, also at EUC. So this is going to be our first opportunity to really set our eyes on Ireland. There's been a lot of hype about GB. They've done really well at UK Tour. We know the names of the GB players. We know that they're a really good team. So this is the opportunity for Ireland to put their foot down and say, we're here too, and we mean business.
Make a bit of a name for themselves.
Yeah.
Certainly their players will know by the end of the long week in Bure. Looking deep once more, Haynes with the perfect body position. Gets the defender too far underneath the disc and then accelerates towards the end zone. GB, often we think about them being quite methodic and workmanlike, but so far it's been the deep game. It's been very effective for them. James Mead assisting that time, looking for Haynes going deep, and cool as you like, 3-2.
Yeah, we'll see it here on the replay. Just like you said, Benji, every single point so far has involved some form of deep hook.
Haynes coming from the front of that play, initiating, planting underneath, stretching it deep, and there's no Ireland defender peeling off the back of that stack to cover and get in the way. And coverage was pretty close, but Haynes did a good job of getting his body position in such a way that there was no way the Irish defender could get round him.
Also, just in a hooking perspective, if you're hooking, you're also being really efficient on offense because you're only making one person make that cut. So on a longevity perspective, if the game starts to get gritty, it starts to get longer. You're
saving those legs a little bit as well.
You really are saving a lot of energy. And also just teams who can hook it straight off. Why not? Quick points. We're talking about points. We want to get as many on the board. Swiss draw. You got to just keep going for it.
Yeah, put them to the sword. And obviously every time as soon as you're scoring these offense quickly, it's just giving you more time to get a chance to break. You can't get broken if you're starting on D. So Rogers swings. Flynn. Lefty fakes the big. Cut comes underneath. Swing back into the centre. Here's Sweeney. Low towards this sideline. Towed in by Cleary. Little lefty gets it into the centre to Rogers. Winds the arm, goes deep, looking for Sweeney. Can he track it in time towards the back of the end zone? Yes, he can. Garner's in coverage, but he can't get there. Pinpoint precision right to the back of the zone. We're tied up at 3s. Neither side blinking yet in this contest.
Yeah, both perfect offensive holds the entire game so far. What I like about Ireland, they're quite quick in their hand movements, quite dominator style play, but then when they do see a deep option, they're going to just go for it. As we see here on the replay, I also really like the fact that we had two lefties marking each other. So Rogers going for that deep throw. It's kind of interesting, as I'm also left-handed. It's really funny when you come across a left-handed person on the pitch because then you realise, oh, I know what you want because that's what I want. So it's also really just an interesting matchup to kind of see, are you going to stop those inside throws that lefties have, and how are you going to change your force to somebody who would be right-handed?
Because obviously we all know that being left-handed is basically inherently cheating.
well, wouldn't go that far. I would
Of
just
course,
say
you
it's a
wouldn't go that far.
masterclass and it's a skill to have, and you're just jealous.
It does help. It's just changing angles ever so slightly, and players don't adjust on the force quickly enough.
Definitely not. I would definitely say as a left-handed player, the inside is always an option. And people tend to bite really hard on the around, but actually most left-handed people want to attack from the inside.
Oh, every lefty I know has got a killer inside backhand. So here's Briggs, underneath cut goes for Long. Now it's Long's turn to put it deep. He's looking for Ford. Oh, he's got easy juice, and the deep game is so potent for Great Britain.
I just don't understand at this point how Ireland have not changed up their tactics. There have been 4 scores on hooks. You have to change something up. Whether you go force straight, then force deep, go zone, go force mid.
Back the cutters a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Change it up. You've just seen it. The handler goes up the line, and then they're going to score deep. Kudos to GB. They're just pinpoint hooks.
It was a beautiful put from Long. Just a tiny little bit of IO shape on it. But a beautiful, voluptuous throw right at the end zone. I think it looked like Briggs wanted to put it deep, but he saw there was separation on the under, and Hogan, who's going to be a familiar name to many of this GB team. Obviously, he's played a couple of seasons with Clapham. That time on the mark, just couldn't get in there to stop that backhand going, and Ford chasing it down into the end zone for the GB 4-3 lead. Both sides perfect so far in this game. Haven't seen a turnover yet. 15 minutes in, 7 points on the board. Very high quality offense so far.
Really high quality offense. If we've only been going for 15 minutes, we have 7 points on the board. Just bish, bash, bosh, get it in, and it's just been so quick. Going to be over in about 45 minutes before we know it.
That's all right by me. More time in the beer tent. Big deep pull this from GB. Has to backpedal to feel it. Sweeney catches it on the front of the end zone line. Looking for an inside backhand. Resets back to Rogers. Those two just playing catch in the backfield at the moment. Maybe thinking about it deep. Cutter comes underneath the number 24 shirt. Tyke Deavy. Up line to Rogers. Rogers wants the big, he's going to look for it. Abrams can't get there in time, and Cleary chases it down, but there's going to be called back on the travel here.
Wondering if they're saying that Rogers took too many steps forward. It's always hard as well, being left-handed. There is the classic lefty travel.
And they're going to call it a score. Yeah, nice, good spirit there, talking about it, discussing that maybe if there was a travel, it didn't really affect anything at any rate. Or maybe just saying, look, it's just maybe just a little bit different, obviously, with the lefty looking at the wrong pivot foot. But good spirit to retract that call, and now it's Ireland's turn to strike deep.
Just look at here on the replay. Rogers busting up the line.
You could argue maybe he took 1 or 2 steps more than he needed to, but in the end decided that didn't really have enough of effect on the play to necessitate the call, and it's been retracted and tied up now at 4 apiece. More just high quality offense. I'll be honest, I was expecting to see maybe this game be a little bit more gritty. Often when two sides have got a little bit of a rivalry play, the games aren't necessarily as fluid as you would like, but both sides dealing with that pretty well so far.
So I'm just looking at results from earlier today. So I think one of the reasons maybe why Ireland is just playing so ramped up is that they've just had a sudden death loss against Condors. They hail from the States. A lot of hype about this team.
Yeah, come all the way over from California, so yeah, right from the West Coast. It's great seeing teams from all the way further afield come to Windmill.
Having said that, then GB absolutely battered the French 15-5 the round before. So this will be a very exciting game for GB, much tighter than they've been used to so far at Windmill 2019.
A little bit of confusion in that reset space. Eventually Yo does find Wilson. He's going to put a lead throw out. Maybe he thought he was looking for Mead. In the end, Haynes comes to this sideline. He's looking downfield, trying to isolate Mead, trying to squirrel free. Nice high release backhand for Long. Long's going to put it deep for Mead. Oh, the bid is just shy. Great effort, but couldn't quite get there in time. And once more, it's the deep game paying dividends for GB, 5-4, but that was a little bit hairier.
A lot hairier. There was a lot of tight defense on the handlers, but then James Mead showing a bit of versatility, normally found in the handler space, thought, I'm not free, I'm just going to go deep. Alexis Long normally plays for Smog in the mixed division, saw me going, doesn't matter, he's a handler, he's free, I'm going to take those options. That makes you a really versatile team. The moment that you fix, you're a cutter, you're a handler, you can never do this, you can never do that, doesn't work at this level. Really great work from GB.
So just 20 minutes into this game, already 5-4. Points coming thick and fast in this game. You can scarcely look away. There's a Smog contingent finished playing their mixed games, come over to support their compatriots.
Come on, cut! Come on, cut! Come on, yeah, Connor!
Big pull goes up. Brought by Rogers and sent it to Sweeney in Ireland's offense. Back on the field once more. High release. Caught high by Deavy. He resets to Sweeney. Underneath goes to Moore.
Stack from the Irish really, really deep. Looking to chomp the underyards, but nearly in the end zone with that stack.
Just working around in the backfield at the moment. Feely looks around, low release. Gordon nearly steals in there, somehow squeaked through to Rogers. Sweeney's not as free as he wants him to be, squirrels around, just gets free of rollage. Taking advantage of the face marking Gordon there, just good decision making, just putting that throw out into space, letting the handler run onto it. Flynn gets free. Looks downfield for Lala. Now Rogers. Cut goes to the far corner. Just about switch onto it in time. Sweeney with the around break to Flynn. That was textbook dump swing off Ed Sparks.
Yeah, totally agree. Beautiful, beautiful swinging outside the end zone. I still don't quite understand how Ollie Gordon didn't leave his feet. I think he thought he was going to get there regardless.
I think he thought he had it. I also thought he had it, and for some reason just appeared in the
just
Irish
snuck
person's
through,
hand.
yeah.
Also, good on Ireland to utilise a face mark in the handler space.
It's also very, sometimes it feels a bit intimidating when you look at your dump and you're like, oh, they're not free. Oh, but actually when they're being face marked, if you throw the throw behind that person and behind the dump will get it every single time. And Ireland used that to perfection. So we see here on the replay, Rogers being so commanding in the handler space for Ireland, and straight away, dub swing.
Rogers and Sweeney look like they've got all the time in the world in the backfield.
So timeout called, don't know who called it. Wondering whether GB's called it saying, come on guys, we've been so close on D, yet we're just not pulling the trigger. Or if Ireland's called it to go, right, we're feeling the momentum, what can we do?
It's a really tight contest and it's fascinating to watch. Certainly one of the best games I've had the pleasure of commentating on. It feels like that's, especially considering for a Friday, like just a round 3 Swiss draw game, it feels like there's that intensity that you usually associate with the knuckle end of a tournament.
Yeah, definitely, and I think both teams are just proving they're just as good as each other, just so even, and still no turnovers at 5-5. That is very impressive.
And there's a reason why a lot of people back these teams to go deep into the bracket, both here this weekend and at the EUC in Giora in a few weeks' time.
Let's go, Alan!
So Mead clap catches the ball, centers to Briggs. Here's Wilson. Slightly different look. He's going to hammer over the top. That's a beautiful hammer into the hands of Thomas Cartwright. Yo catches it. Dishes to Ford. There's a swing to Wilson, but he's going to take the hammer over the top to Haynes. 2 hammers for GB, both pinpoint precision accuracy. We've had a little bit of a win, but it's died down ever so slightly, and the zone is not going to phase GB. Those hammers over the top were executed just perfectly.
The initial hammer to Tom Cartwright just opened up the entire field. And I still feel that the second one felt a bit hairy. I don't know whether it's just from depth perception, but I think in reality he probably had all the time in the world. I love watching a good hammer.
I just both playing against and watching people play against zones. It's always interesting to see how exactly do teams try and break it apart. Do you swing around it? Do you try and get underneath it and crash it? Do you try and sneak it through, or do you do my favourite method, just wang it over the top? Want to see more thumbers though. Don't see enough thumbers.
Or chicken wings. Haven't seen one of those yet.
I'll be honest, I can live without those. Maybe a nice little scuba.
There is nothing wrong with scuba, especially if you're left-handed, just to pop it over the cup.
Well, I mean, I've seen righties throw lefty scubas as well. Just a little something just to make the mark move around a little bit. Abrams pulls for GB. Good deep pull right at the back of the end zone. But again, caught comfortably by Rogers. Initial pass goes to Sweeney. He finds Flynn. Fakes the big. Just about squeezes it. Layout chance, well caught by Sweeney. Never really looked like he wasn't going to get that. Sweeney once more. Slaughter comes flying through but doesn't get there in time. Flynn retains possession under time pressure, and there's going to be a stoppage here. I think Slaughter's just landed a bit heavily off that bid attempt. Maybe grazed his hip a little bit.
It was a pretty high bid there from Slaughter, as we just see the replay from the layout save. Doesn't surprise me. I think sometimes it's just a bit of a shock. The ground is still quite soft, luckily, from the rain, but before this weekend it didn't really rain
You
much
definitely
here.
wind yourself.
Yeah, the ground can be quite hard here, so not a surprise it's going off. Probably the right decision to make.
So Garner's replacing Slaughter. It was a lovely, actually, inside backhand after that from Flynn to get the disc moving towards that far side of the field, so everyone's just going to go and reset themselves a little bit. Disc is checked in. Trying to move the disc quickly, the Irish. There's going to be a travel called. I think he's just saying that he's picking up those feet a little bit as he's pivoting out.
Bit of a cheeky dance there from Andrew Cleary. Picked up by Will Rowley, not having that.
So here's Rogers. Poking around, taking the dish. Layout bid. Oh, and he's going to get the D. The first turn of the game immediately takes off deep, but that's not going. Just going to show a little bit of discretion there. Mikhail picks up for GB. Was a fantastic layout bid. Rogers had a second chance at it, but couldn't keep it alive. Swing goes, and just a miscommunication. Wasn't quite where Brooks was. Just not on the same page, and after working so hard to finally get the turn, they give it back immediately, and they give an Ireland great field position as well. So Sweeney picks up. Takes the reset back to Rogers. Those two just playing in the backfield, and Kirk goes all the way across the front of the end zone. Gordon can't do anything to stop Deavy. And we're tied back up once more at 6 apiece. We've seen our first turnover of the game, Sarah, but they couldn't capitalise on it.
Yeah, turnover, and then straight away another one. I know Conor McHale is going to be beating himself up about that throw. What a massive D from the GB player. Unfortunately, we do not have his number on our roster, so I cannot give him a shout out. Hopefully we'll see that on the replay, but this might just be the point to score. Just easy swinging from the Irish. But yeah, the first turnover, so a really big block, not just a mistake, just a really good defensive play from GB. So they know they've got it in them, and now it's time to get it a bit more frequently on offense.
I think looking down the roster, the only player that I can't see is Steve Gilman, so I'm going to say that it's him. Because I haven't seen a 29 out there. We'll see the GB offense come back out. Niall McCarthy with the pull is going to be caught by Wilson. He finds Briggs. Looking for an around break to Yo, instead takes a wicked inside backhand. Reset to Wilson. This towards the break side, caught by Cartwright. Into the centre. Out in front for Long. Long finds Briggs. Chops his feet, making sure he stays in bounds. Low flick, caught by Yo. Here's Ford, fakes at the end zone. Swing to Long. The clap catch, nice little backhand to Wilson. Dish back to Ford. Thinks about Haynes towards the break side, instead just working in the backfield. Fakes the high release. Now for Haynes, right on the doorstep, squeezing it in with a high release to Yo. This backhand force for Ireland is an interesting look because GB have really shredded it with these inside backhands.
I was just about to say that it's good to see Connor Hogan, affectionately known as Hoagie, matching up against Josh Briggs. Hoagie's had several years now in London playing with Clapham. So now they were teammates, now they're opponents. Hoagie also knows what Josh likes, but Josh did a really good job there, breaking the force. I love this cheeky cut inside from Ashio, just totally free, really hard to defend as well.
It's just pushing the defender all the way onto this sideline, so you can just put that break throw into that space, and it doesn't matter if it sits a little bit because the defender's right on the wrong side. Bang. Right on the money though.
Cheeky high release backhand.
Love it. So GB retake the lead at 7-6. Still very tight here. You can just see a couple of players sitting on the sideline. Just at the back of the VC Lookfly tent as well. We've made all our stylish swag for the weekend. I must say I'm very, very enjoying our purple tinged jerseys.
Everyone's jealous, want to know what we're doing, who we're working for.
So getting confirmation as well of our next games we're going to come up in the stream. We'll tell you what's going on there at half time. There's a stoppage for a pick in the middle of the field. Everyone's just going to get themselves reset. The man affectionately known as Mum, Tom Abrams checks the disc in, Sweeney has it and dishes off to Rogers.
Get the mark on, come on, work the mark.
High release backhands to Flynn. Lovely little lead pass. Allen tries to get in the way. Backhand for Bignall, can't get there. Great catch by the Irish number 90. Under tight pressure, was a fantastic grab.
I have to give it to Mark Bignall. We've normally seen him playing in the mixed division for Reading. He had acceleration on that deep cut. Was so close to layout bid, but absolutely fantastic hands there.
Great catch from number 90, Andrew Cleary. You see Bignall's frustrated with himself, but he did so well just to get there. And you see, it was all caused, but Allen came in to try and get in the way, and then that low leading forehand from Sweeney just beyond the bidding player. What a fantastic grab under fantastic pressure. Just sensational stuff from both sides. And you know what this means, that we're tied at 7 apiece, don't you, Sarah?
Yeah, it's my favourite catchphrase of commentary.
Galaxy boring.
So would not be surprised to be stacked lines from both sides. GB going out with the classic O-line. Ireland getting their best defenders out to go for that essential block on Galaxy.
GB not hanging about. Briggs puts it deep, looking for Ford. Gets up to make the clap catch. Oh, that throw sits a little bit, but it's no problem for Tom Cartwright. GB's deep game has just been sensational in the first half, and they ride that all the way through Galaxy Point for an 8-7 half-time lead. What a half of Ultimate, Sarah.
It's been such an exciting game. I still don't know who is going to win this. Coming into this game, I was thinking GB so strong, and which they have proven. But Ireland are proving that they are not fussed. Not fussed they're playing GB. If anything, playing against such a hard competitor is just going to ramp them up.
Yeah, you can tell that they're fired up for this game. And we've seen 2 turnovers the entire game. A layout block for GB, and then on the other end, a miscommunication in the backfield, and that's it. That's all we've seen. The game's been such high quality. And speaking of high quality games, plenty of action still to come. 2 more games to come this afternoon on each field. Next, mixed Swiss draw round 3. And field 5 here, we've got GB's Smog versus the Germans Haslich Erdferkel. Well, field 6 behind us is going to see Kanye 2020 coming over from the States versus Wuso Wei. So 2 exciting games there. But back in the matter at hand, Ireland in their half-time huddle. What do you think they'll be saying here?
I think with regards to offense, there's not really actually that much to say, because Ireland's offense are doing really well. They seem unfazed. They're breaking the mark. They're using the break side and swinging effectively. So with regards to their offense, I wouldn't change a huge amount. With their defense, they have to be more alert on these deep shots. GB are just wazzing it deep every single time, and it's working every single time. Whether they change the tactic or just get tighter, they just got to be a bit more aware. Have somebody hanging out deep, pick up that deep cut.
They did try a zone at one point, and GB just raced through it. Those hammers over the top shredded it apart. Now, on serve, going into the second stanza of this game. Great Britain going to pull to their Irish opponents. Benji Rees alongside Sarah Sparks, delighted to be bringing you coverage of Windmill 15 here. There's a reason it's such a big destination tournament on everyone's calendar, and with games this quality, if you're not here, the only other place to be is watching it at home. Here's Flynn. Back to Sweeney. Flynn's been an engine for this Irish offense. Always seems to be open. There's going to be a brief stoppage for a pick downfield. Little slap of hands. Everyone's all okay. Flynn with it once more. Just haven't been able to get that huge amount of pressure on those resets. Here's Deavy. Takes a low release, goes back to Sweeney. See him looking downfield, just about squeaks that one over the mark of Garner. It's a little jab step, opens up space for Sweeney. Just be a round backhand. Gets it past Brooks, back to Rogers. Flynn clears through. On a high stall, tries to blade it towards that back corner. Rolich gets a hand in the way, doesn't make the catch, but does do enough to knock it out of the far sideline. And that's the first time we've really seen GB get a lot of pressure on those resets. Just looked a bit clustered, not entirely sure who was coming through and who was clearing out, and had to lash it deep. And
Stack was also incredibly static from Ireland. Like you said, Benji, the defense on the Irish handlers was really, really strong, but no one was moving in the stack, so there wasn't an option downfield. They had to go to the handlers, and then suddenly Rogers finds himself in a really compromising position and just has to get rid of it. So there's been an injury call, not sure who's gone off. Very convenient timing. So we see...
Looks like Flynn, who was the intended target there, has gone off, and they've replaced him with McCarthy, I think. And Mikhail looks like he's Switched for Yo. Horizontal offense. Three handers back, four. Cutters spaced. Laterally across the field. Low throw to Rowledge is going to go through his hands. Saying there's a little bit of a bump from McCarthy.
Yeah, I think it was quite close to his back. It wouldn't surprise me if there was a bit of contact. Talking it out, but there's a lot of hand gestures, so I don't have a feeling this is going to be very easily uncontested. Looks like this will be going back.
Yeah, slap our hands just going back, so a contested foul. I don't know why I'm making the hand signals. You can't see that you can't see that on the stream, but it does make everything easy when you can see exactly what's going on. Obviously, these two teams don't have a language barrier, but especially when you do, those hand signals are super important. So Abrams brings the disc in, looking around, still getting high. I think a timeout called on the high still just to avoid the turnover. Great pressure from Ireland. GBD line didn't really have anything developing, and Abrams has to take the bailout timeout. And I wonder what they'll come up with coming out of this time, whether it's just a quick, just quick get it off to the dump, or whether it's just let's put it deep and see and back our big men to get it down.
Could be that this might be actually a prime opportunity to set up some form of isolation. So you're on a high stall count. I think setting up in a horizontal stack is not going to really work if you're on still 6 or 7. But if you do have an ISO, you can just throw a hammer or scuba or something cheeky and quick. I would refrain from throwing it straight to the dump, just because of the potential of Callahan, unless it's completely wide open. But you make a good point, Benji. GB have started to make these blocks, but their efficiency on offense afterwards is non-existent. They haven't really been able to get the first pass on.
And especially when it's so difficult to get the disc. If you can't, it's then so frustrating when you can't do anything with it. The one thing that you will say is that they actually have managed to generate turns against the Irish O-line, but the Irish haven't done that against theirs.
GBO have had a faultless game so far. And if that's the case, how are you going to win? You got to get a break somewhere. So GB are coming out of their timeout. They are coming out in horizontal. So ignore whatever I just said, because they just completely decided to go horizontal. I would love to know what stall's coming in on.
Must be pretty high, you imagine.
Must be high. Must be about 7 or 8. And Will Rowley just giving a little kick in the head of send it that way. Go on.
Checked in and immediately swung back to Gold and just taking the safe and sensible option. Slaughter's trying to leak out the back door here. High blade over the top to Garner. Broken to Abrams. Beckon cutters underneath. Garner finds Brooks and he just drops it. Bounced out of the hands. They've done really well to get themselves out of that sticky situation at the timeout. We're finally advancing the disc downfield, and just a simple drop. Maybe not quite enough touch on that throw. A little bit spicier than he wanted. Here's McCarthy. Oh, he wants to hammer it to the back of the end zone. Rowledge is all over that one. Not a great option. You can see how frustrated he is with himself. Rowledge pivots around to Abrams. And Abrams lashes it deep. This is Blady looking for Yo. Good coverage from McCarthy.
Wonder if there's going to be a call here. There was a lot of contact on that play.
The disc wasn't the best from Abrams, was a little bit undercooked.
I just think GB D-line look a bit panics on the disc.
I think they know that these turnovers have been so hard to come by that they're putting so much pressure on themselves to convert it. They don't have the same fluency that you usually associate with Great Britain. So there's just going to be some discussion about the level of contact. We talked about McCarthy being a ferocious and physical defender, but it does mean that he does get into a couple of calls.
And I was just going to say about McCarthy, he's just come up from an injury call. Normally a D-line player finds himself on an O-line point suddenly outside the end zone, and he has nothing there.
I don't want to be a little bit mean, but you can kind of see why they put him on the D-line, because he's so difficult. He generates so much pressure, but it's not necessarily the calmest player with the disc in his hand.
I do feel like, though, in his defence, he didn't have much option. He probably was on a high stall count and just thought, I need to get rid of this. But instead of attacking the break side of the field, he just went for a hammer into the open side. If he had aimed it more to his right,
could have got away with it, perhaps.
Would have got away with it.
So that's going to be another contested foul. Disc will go back to Abrams. This first point of the second half, after a really quick first half, has just ground down a little bit. I think you can really tell how important it is in the flow of the game for both sides. Violation. Player's just moving a little bit before it's checked in. Abrams finds Rolich. This with 2 hands. Around to Abrams. Garner's free underneath on this near sideline. Oh, and a miscommunication. Thought Yo was going to come underneath, but he went deep, and McCarthy just easily picks that one up. Upline to Sweeney. Oh, there's 2 cutters coming to the front. Maybe he can sneak it around the back. Doesn't like it. Just about gets that one off. Into the front of the zone. That's so casual from Owen Lala. And that was a bit of a grind of a point, but Ireland eventually get the hold.
I also have to give it to Ireland's O-line. Their D is really, really good. Sometimes there's an association with O-lines, and the people who are on the O-line maybe slightly slower or go for less bids than maybe somebody on the D-line, but they just proved at that point that is just total rubbish. As I said, Yo looking like he was going to be totally free deep, a complete miscommunication. This GBD line will be dragged off the pitch, and there will be some words had on the sideline on how to improve this offensive flow. Just feel like it's a bit jagged at this point.
Yeah, the D-line offense is certainly not with the fluency they would have liked. Oh no! Just had a bit of a roster blow away. Thankfully that's for the next game, so we can survive for now. So just over 45 minutes gone in this game, about 25 minutes left. Benjamin Rees alongside Sarah Sparks bringing you coverage of this open Swiss draw round 3 game here at Windmill 15 between Ireland and GB, the old rivals.
Let's go, boys! Let's go, boys!
Paul's going to sit and float for an age, and Ireland are right there when Briggs makes the catch. Wilson initiates underneath. Forward's wide open. There's some sort of bust-in coverage there, but they're able to recover in time. Trying to blade it over the top, looking for Briggs. Defenders are going to come in here. Nice grab by Briggs, known more as a handler than a receiver, but he had to get up there. That throw was a little bit spicy. Here's Mead. I imagine they'll want to try and chill things out a little bit here. Long, you see wearing that smog cap. Comes underneath, lead pass for Mead. And another lead pass for Ford, toes it in bounds. GBO line hasn't been on the field for a little bit after that last point, ground out, but they look like they haven't missed a beat at all.
I would love to see a replay of this catch by Josh Briggs. On first throw, he looked totally open. There's suddenly 2 Irish defenders swarmed in towards him, and he just knew it, elevated right at the good moment, and just plucked it out the sky. The commentator's curse, we're not going to see it on the replay. But absolutely huge from Briggs. Great take.
Got big when he needed to. So GB retake the lead at 9-8. Team is warming up behind us for their next games here in the streamed fields. 2 more games still to come on each pitch today before we hit the hay, before we go and indulge in the various Windmill nightlife. What's Friday night? Is it the Mingle?
Mix and mingle is tonight's mix and mingle.
We need to get some practice in, I think.
I also want to give the penny farthing a crack, but I also
There's a
worry
penny
that
farthing?
there is a penny farthing you can try, but I also don't want to break my neck, so...
I think you'd be pretty unfortunate to break your neck, but...
I did see one volunteer stack it pretty spectacularly off a penny farthing earlier, so...
Splendid.
You never know.
So Rogers makes that catch right by that far sideline. Wind whipping up a little bit now. High release gets off to Hogan, crossing over to the O-line.
Interesting to see Hogan being pulled over to the O-line. Help out, gives some of the Huntleys a little bit of a rest. But GB really have to clamp down in their own end zone at the moment.
Yeah, Miller, wearing the number 42 on his back, is the man on the mark. Checks back in. Not a lot going on. Hogan just about gets free underneath. Looking for an around break. Sweeney comes towards the far side. Disc centered. After that marathon 0 point last time, there's quite a few different players have crossed over, but Sweeney and Rogers are ever present. Big, so there's going to be a little stoppage.
Calls from the sideline of GB saying you've got to keep working, you've got to keep working. Just the intensity firing up from the sideline as well.
They're not wrong. A little bit high, but caught by Finchy. Finchy, one of the few players I've ever seen assist himself somehow. That's Cleary. Oh, that throw just comes out all weird. Just didn't quite have it in his grip properly. And one of the stranger turnovers you'll see in a game of this quality, especially.
I'm sure he's going to be beating himself up about that.
McHale picks up for the Brits. Garner wants it deep, but he's just going to reset around to Funk instead. Now he's going to get the disc back. Just about squeezes it through to Funk. Fakes the big. Underneath, high grab, well caught. Rolich pops up to snag that one out of the sky. Fakes the hammer, but that's always going to go back in the toolbox. Just about tries to squeak it through to McHale, but it's too far behind him. Laid out, couldn't get it to stick. And GB have had a couple of chances to break Ireland, but they've never made it stick. And Vinci's going to lash it deep. Excellent read by number 59, Luke Doyle. Not in just yet, though. Swings it across the end zone to Rogers. We normally see assisting, but catching the goal that time. Tied back up at 9. Every time GB have got the turn, they haven't been able to punch it in. And a side of Ireland's quality, you feel, is going to punish you at some point for this.
I actually thought that Ireland were going to call time out because there was no one in the vicinity, but Rogers just appears from nowhere for that cheeky jump into the end zone. Yeah, there's just not really many words at this point. I think they know what is going wrong, and it's not even at this point tactical decisions, it's mistakes, it's just drops, miscues, throwaways. This is the mental, they need to have the mental capacity now to turn it around, go, guys, we have made quite a lot of mistakes, we need to ramp it up.
The GBD line is having a conference of sorts behind us, a little debrief.
Suddenly means that their sideline has completely evaporated, only Alexis Long now on the sideline. So quite a tiny little O-line for GB, D-line a lot bigger.
Abrams really marshalling his troops. They know exactly what he wants from them next time. So here's Briggs. Just towards the far sideline, chased down by Haynes. Fakes the big. Looking for Mead, squirrels free. Lovely throw throw. For Briggs. Swung to Mead, now here's Wilson, gaining a couple of yards there, where those two play a little bit of give-go in the backfield. Trying to be aggressive with that throw. Really nice high take by Ford. He makes it look so easy, and an ugly scuba, has to be said. I see what he was going for, but the execution was not there. Really rushed it, and for the first time, the GBO line have turned it over.
A very questionable choice, I would have to say, about that scuba. Just worked out really nicely, and then suddenly went for a scuba. Absolutely no spin. Not going to see on the replay as Ireland had checked it in for their first opportunity over break.
Oh, very neat. Yeah. That throws low. They're dicing with death a little bit here, the Irish. That pops up a little bit. Now here's McCarthy. Thinks about the big. Ford gets on the mark. It's going to be a stoppage. Talking about some contact downfield.
Be very interesting now to see Ireland show GB how to score on defence. It'd be absolutely monumental shifts for Ireland if they could get this point in.
And Norton and Wilson were just talking to each other. Oh, they're going to try and shoot immediately. McCarthy's got it. Deep. Throw was executed, and Lee throw to Norton, and Ireland get the first break of the game. GB had so many bites at it, couldn't convert, and the first time GB turned it over all game. That errant scuba from Ford, the Irish punish them, and they take a lead for the first time in this game, 10-9. McCarthy struck deep. Big put was well read, and Brennan just with a little lead throw to Norton. You can see how much it means to the Irish.
Well, they're just celebrating like they've won the game, and kudos. As I said, no break opportunities this entire game, and the Irish D-line just come out firing, ready to take it. The little deep throw, bit sketchy. I think if Josh Briggs was able to turn around quick enough, he would have had that. But kudos to the Irish to keep their cool. Now, the GBO line have made one mistake the entire game. Just shows how efficient you have to be on offense.
And we did say they kept squandering those opportunities that you felt like eventually something would happen to punish them for it. It's happened now.
GB now going to be at the disadvantage, like we have Benji and all the other games. There is no cap, so if the point ends whilst they're still playing, that could be the be-all end-all for the win.
Just about got it to Haynes. High release backhand. Mead runs onto it. Into the middle for Ford. No surprise to see him just shelve that scuba. Haynes runs Cartwright. Haynes tries to muscle his way free up line. Oh, they're going to call a stall out on the throw from Cartwright to Ford. I'm sure if you ask Cartwright, he'll tell you that he got it off in time, but definitely had the disc for a while.
He did have a disc for a very long time. There's going to be big discussion here. No use of hand signals. Would have expected more from both teams to help us.
I think maybe they're just still talking about it. So I saw a wave from retracted, so this is going to stay with Ford here. GB just about getting themselves out of a sticky situation. Reset to Mead. Briggs comes to the open side. Oh, right, tries to worm his way free. Can't even speed, trying to take advantage of the face mark to Mead. Can't get it around in time. McCarthy's going to put it deep, and too deep in the end. Was looking for Rob Holland, but
I think Rob Holland had already started to slow down. Joe Mead turned the burners on and absolutely pelted it to the end zone. Started to slow down to come in, he'd already gone for it. I wasn't a huge fan of that one-on-one matchup. It wasn't like Holland was absolutely by himself in the end zone. It was quite contested. I think McCarthy's going to want that one back.
Yeah, he's a player who has a penchant for a big play. And so that time maybe just tried to get it when it wasn't necessarily available to him. But Ireland now getting turns on this GBO line, and I wonder if that's going to play in their mind at all. Mead just about finds Cartwright past the defender. Really feels like the Irish intensity is ramped up defensively. now that they've shown themselves that they can do it.
I'll happily do it.
Haynes finds Mead. Mead's going to look deep for Ford. Oh, what a layout from Justin Ford, and on his knees pops it to Haynes for the goal. Was a big bid that came through and didn't get there in time, and it's a fantastic grab from Justin Ford, showing what he's still considered to be one of, if not the best players in Europe.
You gotta love the "I'm gonna throw it off my knees" throw, and he kind of had to, because by the time he's probably stood up, got up, threw it, there would have been a defender there, so he had to do it from his knees. Probably not the prettiest throw we've seen of the tournament, but did the job.
They all count, don't they?
Oh, this is an exciting game. 10-10 with the Irish on the break. Not much time left, just having a look at my clock. So we've been going for an hour, it's 3 o'clock. Games are 70 minutes, so we've got at least 10 more minutes.
Yeah, 10 minutes left before the cap goes on, and obviously we mentioned no cap, so when the hooter goes, you finish the point, and that's it. If it's a draw, it's a draw. You just got to live with it. We had one in the previous game as well. They call it swish draw for a reason.
I feel like I'd be quite disappointed if it ended in a draw, because I just really want to
You
know
really want
who
a winner,
wins.
yeah.
Yeah, I want a winner. I want to say these guys beat these guys instead of they drew. I would feel just a bit, I've been watching
A little
it.
bit
I'm
cheated.
so invested, yeah, and now I've been cheated.
Big backhand blading call for Great Britain. Rogers feels it on the hop. Centering past to Sweeney. Quick around backhand to Hogan. Hogan looking for Rogers, but I think there's a call in the backfield. Slaughter maybe thinking that Rogers pushed off from him a little bit.
Yeah, I think sometimes you have the arm jostle. So as a handler, you're kind of bumping each other to get three, and then suddenly there's a big shove, and that's not always wanted really from the defender.
So Abrams will check it in. Lead throw, looking for Rogers. Slaughter comes in, not there in time. Rogers shoots deep. Oh, this is spicy. There's a massive humanity underneath it. Gordon gets a hand there and it goes to the ground, and GB do get the turn they crave, but they've given themselves a few opportunities, haven't punched it in just yet. Can they finally get that elusive break, get this game back on serve? Shout out to the volunteers who are keeping us well stocked throughout this tournament. Need some refreshment from this exhilarating game. Abrams looking deep for Rowledge. He's a formidable target deep, and it's going to go over his head, I think, and just lost position. The disc faded towards that break side too much. The Irish defenders were right there, and after working finally to get that turn, they just can't punch it in. They've got to be disappointed with their D-line discipline, and that low throw is somehow kept alive by Hogan. I thought for sure that was going to hit the turf. Deavy can't squeak it up line, just about gets it inside to Rogers. He finds Hogan. A couple players take off deep. You can see he's frustrated with the execution on that throw. He's going to go out the sideline into those pallets by those cardboard car tents there.
Feel like both teams just need to have a little bit of reconsideration. The wind isn't that strong, but these throws are not coming out the way they want to. Both from GB and Ireland, they've been quite blady and just hitting the turf way too quickly.
Mikhail takes the open swing, sets an option there to Garner. Gordon dishes it to Mikhail. A couple of cutters go deep. So Abrams is going to get underneath it. Can't quite. Towering grab from Great Britain. Looking around, and there's nothing developing. Tries to play it to the far side, and GB get the break back. It took them a long time. They turned and turned, the Irish, but their offense was really cluttered, and finally they take the deep shot at the right time. They didn't force it. They worked it under first. Still required a huge grab from Gilman just to snatch that one out of the sky, and looked to isolate Abrams and just got the defender going too far to one side, and Flynn couldn't catch up with him. He knew he was beaten. The left hand of Abrams sealing around the disc, and GB wrestled the advantage away from the Irish 11-10.
I still feel like people aren't listening to me. That hook still wasn't the best.
It was a little bit dicey.
It was very dicey. He got bailed out hugely.
Back your receiver, Sarah.
Back your receiver, of course, but maybe in a different game, maybe a game against a competitor that maybe is a little bit weaker. That's fine. Back your receiver. Get to the Irish. Not so sure. I wouldn't have the exact same confidence in that throw as I would maybe earlier in the tournament.
I can see what you're saying. I can see what you're saying. So GB earned their break back, 1 break apiece, so we're back on serve. GB lead 11-10. Really deep pull from Great Britain, going to pin the Irish right at the back of their own end zone. This is Callahan country if ever I've seen it. Rogers looking around, trying to find an option, just has to get a little push through. Now here's Sweeney, finds Deavy. Sweeney once more. Just a rock on this Irish O-line. Low throw, bid comes, can't get there. Swung into the centre. Here's Rogers. The lefty doesn't really like it. There's 2 Irish players in the same space, just about gets that one free. Absorbs contact from Eels. Rogers barking instructions. Dishes off to Deavy. Now they're just going to chill things out a little bit. Here's Rogers. Third year Rogers and Warwick Sweeney have got so many touches this game and they've never put a foot wrong. That's a beautiful throw towards the break side. Dishing off to Rogers. They so handler dominated, but when the handlers have been as calm and as effective as these Irish handlers, you can totally understand why. Another call, just a little bit, yeah, just a little bit of a push off on that dump cut from Sweeney.
Not much time left, only 3 minutes to go in this game. I am on the edge of my metaphorical seat as I'm stood up.
Yeah, there's no way we're sitting down for a game like this. You need to be on your feet. You need to be engaged as much as you can.
The longer these calls drag out, the more it's not going to work in Ireland's favour. They actually really need to get this pointed.
So here's Sweeney. Turns around and finds Rogers. Big backhand fake. Happy to lose yards to keep the disc moving in a sick layout D. Stealing through, I think is Seb Allen. Going to take the swing to Eels. Here's Bignell.
Keep your head up there, yeah, tight, help out.
Sorry, this is Gilman now, number 29. Funk fakes on that release flip. Underneath. Here's Bignell with it. Tries to use the lefty to blade it towards the back corner for Ben Funk. GB, after working so hard to finally get a first break, they get 2 in a row. And they've really got the advantage now. 12-10 the current score.
Oh, what vision from Mark Bignell. Just, that is how you utilise a lefty. He just saw the space. There wasn't even a cut going into that space. He knew, I can throw this flick around and I'm going to put it there and someone's going to run onto it because I have that much faith in my throw. Absolutely beautiful work. The D from Seb Allen, huge. Just what GB needed. The time's about to go. The best that Ireland could probably do now is get another point on the board. Oh, they must be feeling a little bit crushed at this point, not knowing that there isn't a cap.
Well, you know the format going into the weekend. You know what you got to do. And hey, who knows, if you can get this point in quickly, maybe you can get a draw. That jingle hasn't gone quite yet, but getting a break this late on really turned the game in GB's favour. And just as I mentioned the jingle, you can hear it go in the background, so this will be the last point of the game. GB will take the win. Just about, though.
I feel a little bit crushed for the Irish. They've had such a good game. It's just towards the end they started making these mistakes, and the GB D-line has finally decided, no, we're going to play efficiently as well.
They've shown why they're going to be a force to be reckoned with at EUC, and in the near future as well, just deeper in the bracket here at Windmill, because there's no doubt that these boys will make the top 8. Really stop that one.
I think that disc is a taco, but they seem to be finally going on. I'm pretty sure the Irish players stood on it when they landed it in. It's not flying normally, but they're going to continue.
Yeah, decided it's not bent enough to change it. Dished up to Vinci. Inside. Irish offense looking very fluid. Oh, that throw's a little bit low, just about scooped up off the turf. Here's Doyle. It's going to be a stoppage, I think.
I think he's calling a stalling call, a marking call, as Ollie Gordon's quite far away.
Yeah, maybe just thinking that 3 meters is the distance you need to be in order to put that stall on. Maybe saying that he was getting in there a little bit early. Just checks in. Swinging it around. Called by Kelleher. Here's Sweeney. Trying to side that inside shot through. It's just going to go out the back and go behind that Portaloo. And Ireland looked so good for so much of this game, but since it's gone down, they've just looked a little bit tired, and GB have been able to finally punish those turnovers.
Ireland just panicking a little bit there, just in front of the end zone. I think they had more time to just take it easy, but went for an inside throw that got absolutely picked up by the winds.
Slaughter with the swing.
Keep going, Ferdian! Someone on there! Someone on there! Get under, Hayden! Get under!
Every time's really wide open, there's going to be a pick. Players get reset. Gordon finds Slaughter. Thought he wanted the big for a second. He's going to put a lead throw towards this side for Rolich. Here's the lefty McHale. Brings on a little bit on, but caught up to do regardless. Shows the hammer, puts it away for now. Lead throw to Rolich. Little air bounce on the throw to Slaughter, and that's going to wrap us up. A really tight, thoroughly engaging contest.
Tight game. I feel sorry for the Irish. I do think they went really hard just at the end of the game. They let their heads dip. Won't be surprised if we see these two play against each other later in bracket play.
Yeah, certainly wouldn't. We're going to wrap up now, though, quickly. We need to get out of here before this next contest starts between GB Smog and Hashlish Erdferkel from Marburg in Germany. But for the meantime, on behalf of Sarah Sparks, I've been Benjamin Rees, and we will see you on the other side.